Jimmy from Budget Bikers and Beamers here in Colorado Springs. Going to do a review here on the new 2020 Gravity HD FSX full suspension plus mountain bike. Overall, I just bought this about a month ago. I've done the trails about every weekend, hit some pretty hard trails on it, and this bike holds up all the way. It keeps up with my friends who've got $2,000+ bikes. So if you're looking for a full suspension plus bike under $1,000, this is definitely the way to go. About the drivetrain, it's got a 2x8, so you got your 2 gears in the front, you got your 8 gears in the rear, plenty of range. I'm not completely sure what the tooth count is on it. I do know, this bike's at 27 speed. I use it to commute to work, and I've hit 35 miles an hour on this bike. I've hit 28 miles an hour on this bike. So you don't have quite the top end, maybe that one of these other bikes have, but at the same time, this bike's going to be made more for downhill. It's not really a street bike, especially if you put meatier tires on it. You're going to use it mostly for off-road. It's all Shimano drivetrains. You got your index finger right here for shifting, thumb, which I prefer. This one's SRAM's, 2 thumbs. It's fine, but I prefer the index from Shimano. So you got Shimano drivetrain, 2x8, a lot less gears, a lot less headache for the derailleur. Pretty simple adjustments on it. Pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with that. About tires. This comes with 2.8-inch plus tires. I wanted a plus tire bike. My last bike, this one, the stock tires on that, I've upgraded those, but the stock ones were 1.9 inches, which is pretty narrow. You go through sand, it would drag you through the sand a little bit. I wanted something a little bigger, but you only got so much clearance, in the back brace here, so you can only put so big of a tire. These are 2.2 inches now, so I wanted a plus bike. So 2.8 inches is huge, and you actually have room to increase it. So I was looking around on eBay, and I was able to bid on these Maxxis high roller tires, used but just barely, got plenty of tread on them, $70. I think 3 inches, so they're a tad bigger than these, going to give me a lot more traction, especially in the sand and around the corners. I've had a couple friends who had these, highly recommend them, so we'll see how that goes, but that's a pretty significant upgrade, the fact that I was able to do that. I also bought all this stuff to do a tubeless conversion, so this is going to get a tubeless conversion on it, but the plus bike, I love it. So while I'm here making this video, my wife's doing all the hard stuff, like carrying this girl we just bought. She's hot, so that should make you want to watch this video if nothing else.
Sure, you're not posting.
Suspension. In the rear we got a 150mm spring shock. It's pretty cheap. It's made by Kind Shock. If you look online, the shock's maybe $25. Doesn't cost very much. I wish I would have looked into this a little more, because it's hard to find. With a full suspension bike, when you're doing long climbs, at least with a coil spring, you tend to bounce up and down when you're going up the hill. So it's nice to be able to lock that out. It's hard to find a 150mm shock with the lockout, and even if you do, they're still mostly spring. I kind of wanted to upgrade it to an air shock. D&M makes a pretty good one. It's got good reviews. It's cheap. It's like $80. But the lowest setting, or the smallest one you can get, is 165mm. So I'm actually going to try. It's not recommended to do this, but I'm going to try. I've taken this apart, and there's more than enough clearance to push this back another 15mm. So that should give me enough clearance to put the bigger shock in there. Doesn't look like I'm going to hit anything. It'll actually bring my pedal height up a little bit. Have to do some readjusting of the gears, but other than that, I think it'll work. So I will upgrade this video, or update it, as soon as I put that in, and let you know how that works. But that's definitely an upgrade I would consider doing, because like I said, this is a pretty cheap shock. Front, you got 110mm, same thing, it's a spring shock in the front. Plenty. I've ridden this bike just as it is, taking it off some 2-foot drop-offs, no problems. I haven't taken it off any massive, jumps or anything, but the big ones I've taken, everything I've hit here in Colorado Springs, and there's some pretty big rocks, it's done just fine. So if you were to buy this bike just as it is, still got plenty of suspension, but I am going to upgrade this. I bought this off a coworker, and I got a RockShox It's air suspension, 120 millimeters of travel, so I'll have a tad more travel on it, and you know, I think that'll be a nice upgrade. But even if you can't afford to swing something like this, I looked at this online, and it's probably $150, you know, $200 if you were to buy it new or used online, just depending what you found. But I think this would be a pretty solid upgrade, and that is something you can do on this bike. This bike does have a tapered stem, so you can put all the new bikes, or at least the newer nice bikes, have got the tapered stem on it, so you can you know, put a lot of the newer stuff on it. Whereas this is a 2017. This bike has got a straight stem, so you cannot stick a tapered stem into a straight stem like this one. So that is a nice feature, that this bike does come with the tapered front stem, so you can put the tapered fork in there, which is what most of the new bikes have on it. Alright, let's talk about brakes. It's got front and rear hydraulic disc brakes from Shimano. My last bike, this one was hydraulic disc. Love the hydraulic disc brakes, so you know, a lot of more entry levels have mechanical discs, but if you do a lot of downhill, my brother-in-law and I are going to do a huge road trip here in the next fall, and we're going to do 5 trails, 5 different states in 10 days. So a lot of driving, a lot of riding. But the first one we're going to do is Downeyville, California, and it's basically, you can ride the shuttle to the top, and then you get to ride down. So you're doing a lot of downhill, and if you're doing a lot of downhill, you'll definitely appreciate the hydraulic disc. Definitely keeps your forearms and everything from getting super tired.
You actually can do it.
That was my son. Come on over here, son.
Oh my gosh. Alright.
This is my son, Aiden, and I am looking to get him into mountain biking as well. I'm going to get him a bike
This has
here
gone
pretty
horrible. Let's start this over.
soon. You're doing good, son.
Yep.
Some of the upgrades I did. So far, the only thing I've upgraded on it, but new pedals. Pedals that came on are pretty basic. I got some Craig Brothers clip-ins. I like to clip in. If you watch one of my other videos, I actually took a spill, so I couldn't get my feet out and came to a complete stop.
Oh no, my foot was locked in, couldn't get it out.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Tell
Son,
us in the comments if
you do know this is a mountain biking video.
it is?
Yeah. Skates are fun.
Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like this video if you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you guys in another video. Peace out.